Blackhawk Township, September 2nd, regular meeting.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Express Times and Star Gazette, satisfying the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act. If we could please stand for a silent prayer and flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Do I have a motion to pay the bills presented in proper form, signed by the director of each department and approved by a majority of the members on the listed bill list?
So moved.
There's one that's being held until, I guess, Mary speaks with Kevin about ATS from last time.
I've got a couple questions. The KAS bill, it's in my bill list. I think last time, from what I hear, we're still having a problem with the email. And last time, I think the way we left it was Kevin and KAS were going to get together with their techies to solve this problem. Have we solved the problem? Do we know? Do we know if it's KAS or?
It's not KAS. They're saying to us that they were hired to do our website and hired Liquid Web to host our emails for us. And the problem is not with KAS, it's with Liquid Web.
Did they hire Liquid Web? Not, we didn't hire
Well, they
Liquid.
selected them, but they've done all they can for us. They designed the website. And they're begging for payment because it's over a year.
And we went with their recommended vendor, and it's not working.
It's not working with Kevin,
And Alpha and Lopap.
but that's it.
Just the three more important. What are we going to do about it? I mean, it's been over a year for them not to get paid. It's been over a year for me forwarding emails to Wanda because every time you get an email from Denbrook, I got to forward it to Wanda. So what can we do?
I think we need cooperation from Kevin to get that resolved, to talk to them, because I believe they've reached out.
They've reached out to Kevin?
Yeah.
Not Kaz Design, Liquid Web people.
The Liquid Web people have.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems very coincidental that all the problems happened with the onset of the new website. But I hear you that you're affirming that it's not their fault.
Yeah. And I'm afraid that they're going to shut the thing down if we don't pay them.
And my other question was a point of process here. I mean, last meeting, in my bill pile was a bill for Linero, and I think it was for EAI stuff. This meeting, I've got a bill in my pile for Higher Gruel, and I think it's for EAI stuff. I think we typically approve payments, approve hiring people for projects ahead of time. You're asking me to sign something after the fact. I don't think that's a good practice. I don't think we do it for other vendors.
As far as our professionals?
What do you mean? For example, when we had the joint meeting with Greenwich here talking about shared services, in the middle of the meeting, in the middle of their part of the meeting, they said let's hire the auditor to spend $1,000 to give us some estimates about how much this might cost us or something like that. And they passed a resolution to do that. I think typically that's what's done. I mean, essentially you're asking me to agree to something that I may not necessarily agree with. So council should approve it before you ask me to sign it.
Okay, I see what you're saying on that. So you would want a proposal from each professional before they do work, or set an amount that they're allowed to spend?
Like last time you said, let's authorize Frank to spend up to $5,000 on time clocks. And you did, and we did, and I appreciate that. But it's kind of too fuzzy for me when we do it and when we don't do it.
Okay, well, I think what we should do is we should establish who's on retainer, who's not, and then that's how we should handle it with the professionals.
And if it's not a retainer item,
then make it as a motion like you're suggesting. Okay.
We should put it as an item to approve by council.
For all,
that's what we do for everything else, or most everything else. The line between where we do it and where we don't is too fuzzy for me.
okay. Well, I think we have to figure out what boards have the authority to spend money and then look at it that way too, within their budget, and then look at what things are going where and look at it that way to make sure things are being allocated correctly and that people are billing right, and look at it that way too.
Well, yeah, I think we should. I'm not going to sign this after the fact. Somebody else can if they want to. And, I brought it up last time, and the issue's still there. Other than that, I have no problems with bills.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
So I say Becker,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Kern.
Yes. Okay. Public comment pertaining to agenda items. Is there any public comment on any agenda items? Yes, sir. Yeah, the bills would be one, yeah. You just have to come up, speak in the microphone, and say your name.
Les Nichols, Millix Woods Road. I'm trying to follow along here. Councilman Becker is a little fuzzy on this. I am too. This $5,000 expenditure for the time clock. I didn't hear anything about what kind of a time frame we might expect to get a return on this, or how we get a return on this investment. What comes to my mind?
Okay, all right, Les, I thought you were talking about this practice of bill purchasing. That's an individual item, so that would be for general public comment. Okay. Is there any other public comment on agenda items?
I wonder if one item, I think it's a good idea, but the ordinance establishing a new chapter 5 entitled Public Buildings and Property. I don't know, I remember when I was sitting there not having the background, the actual items to look at.
Oh, the title.
How people know what
the title is
on that or not. Because I think it's a no smoking policy, right?
Yeah.
Which I agree with. I just
No,
think
you're right. It's ambiguous.
if people don't know that there's a no smoking policy going on, how are they going to know whether they like it or not?
Why don't we try to, Lorraine, you're at a couple other towns. Do they print out the ordinances on, or how does,
No, they'll have them available prior to the meeting, if anybody wants to peruse them. But as a practice, they don't normally attach them to the agenda.
okay. Well, and maybe if we title them more, because of what the actual line is in there, title more specific, and then further have a couple copies for people to review prior at the table in front. But that's a good point.
Are they posted on the website at all for people to review
No, only when they're in,
after the fact?
yeah, when they're going through when they get added to general code.
If it's not obvious from the title, I mean, I think maybe we should, if we can make it obvious, that would be good. But
I know what you're saying, Frank, if it was officer, because that's.
Well, that could be about anything, any public ground thing. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Is there any other public comment on agenda items? Seeing none, their attorney, I assume, will be here. Engineer's not here, so we will go into Township Council reports, and we will begin with Frank.
the historic committee met again, but there was no quorum, so hence there is that need to reduce the size of the committee so that it's easier to get a quorum.
Frank, how many members did they have present?
I think it's 7 plus 2,
Right, how many?
and they're proposing 5 plus 2.
Right.
And we had 4, maybe it's 9. I'm not a member, even though I was there. Sharon was there. I think we had 3 or 4. I think we had 4.
Well, 4 would have been a quorum.
If it's 7, if not, if it's 9, right?
But is Sharon a member, technically?
She used to be, I don't know.
I don't know if
I
she
don't
is.
think
either.
she is.
I don't
That
think
might
she
be
is
the,
either. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
I think she was one of the 4.
She used to be.
Right. But I did review with them, and I understand we're going to get it, we missed the
Second reading tonight.
publication, but the second reading is next meeting, so that would be good. I did discuss with them, the content of what will be in the second meeting, and they had some concerns about, because some of the more active members are not residents. So I invited them to come to the next meeting if they want to discuss it, but we'll see. And that's all I have. The time clocks, if you want me to address Les's concern now or later, we did it, we talked about it last meeting. I don't know if you were here, Les. But the reason I'm requesting a time clock is that the salary for our employees is the largest budget item that we have, and I think it's just good management practice to control the largest expenditure that you have in town. And it was $5,000, but we're looking into cheaper ones because I think there are cheaper ones out there. Actually, the proposal was $7,500. That the one proposal we got, and I thought that was on the high side. They've knocked it down to $5,000 for this year, but I still think it's high, so I'm looking for something simpler so that there'll be less concern about how much we're spending on it. But regardless of how much we spend on it, I think, well, not entirely regardless, but I think it will be money well spent even if we did spend the $5,000. Given that salaries are our largest expense.
and just to piggyback off that too, our largest department already uses a time management system, so we're kind of just having everybody else on the same thing.
Except I think a clock is, and it's actually biometric and it's easy to use.
Yeah.
Is an enhancement to that system. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. Dave?
I have nothing to report new on the DPW side. Our environmental commission will meet again this month starting. Land use, we had one application before us at the last meeting. It was from Dr. Hernandez down on River Road. We heard preliminary testimony from his professionals. The meeting went till, I guess, after 10. We tabled the rest and carried it to the next meeting, and that was about it on the land use meeting. Correct?
Yeah, that was it.
I said that's all I have there. Pretty quiet.
Okay. Just to piggyback on the land use, there was 2 meetings ago a resolution that was given by the land use board to have a condition on the Starbucks resolution that which was regulating pretty much saying you have to do this with your sewer allocation before we would accept or approve this resolution, which I voted against because it's not the land use board's role to decide how we divide sewer, and they're not the sewer authority. It would be township council. So, Kevin, my question to you would be, can we have a motion to negate that condition of the resolution that they passed for a condition of approval, as far as they wanted to have separate metering for all their out parcels?
It's like, I agree with you, they don't have any jurisdiction over sewer issues other than, they could make it a condition of approval that they get whatever capacity or anything they need.
It's not a capacity issue.
So it's simply a metering issue?
Yeah, it's a metering issue. It has nothing to do with, the allocation is
They
there.
don't have any control over that either.
It's actually an issue between the out parcels and the mall. It's not an issue between Powhatan Township.
Just like they don't have any jurisdiction, I don't think we have jurisdiction to simply rescind an arbitrary and capricious or improper condition put in there by the land use board. I would, if you want, the council can have me direct a letter to the board saying, we have jurisdiction over sewer and so on and so forth, and we can alert the applicant to that. And we can ask them to modify and strike that resolution or that particular condition of the resolution. But I don't think we can simply, as council,
But can the applicant then, upon receiving that letter, move forward with their?
I thought we had addressed the sewer issue for that.
No, it got brought up at a land use board meeting, and the board voted for it. It was brought up by their engineer and one member, and they voted for it. And I don't know how that is even allowed.
I know we dealt with the sewer allocation issue here because I think that we concluded, and we had Gwen here, Wanda, if I'm correct, that there was
Example, sewer allocation, they didn't need anything.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not an allocation issue.
Sewer allocation, Kevin, it's about, the land use board wanted to make it a condition that they have their own separate meter in case the mall would ever go with belly up, that the out parcels and would lose water, the out parcels would be able to stay in business and have their own water and metering.
Which is an issue between them and the mall.
Yeah, I don't think that they have jurisdiction to compel metering. It's definitely not a land use issue. It's a sewer authority issue and this council's issue. But again, I don't think we can simply make a motion here, Mayor, to rescind.
But can we point out
we can take a position on it and let the applicant know that we're not recognizing the land use board's authority there. We could theoretically, and it has happened in the past, you can actually file prerogative writ action in court against your own board to correct what you feel.
No.
But it's not worth it.
No.
I think the issue is we'll simply, I don't know, is the board going to withhold signing their site plans until there's some note about metering?
Well, that's my question. If we take action here or do some type of resolution, could theoretically the applicant then see that the recognizing authority does not acknowledge that and then come and get whatever approvals they need?
They voted last month, correct?
Yes.
So the memorializing resolution.
No, that already happened. Memorializing. It's holding up Starbucks.
Resolution, so this is holding up the protecting of the deeds for the wall subdivision, subdivide the out parcels.
Yeah.
So it's a condition that they have to meet prior to us signing.
I don't know how they can make that condition.
So it's that
Wait a minute,
they-
now,
the
they're-
service is holding up the whole Starbucks sale.
Okay, so we're not dealing with the Quaker Steak and Lube, we're dealing with the Starbucks, or
This
the
is-
old mall.
Yeah.
Right, the Bozeman
Okay.
Mall. Bozeman Mall came to us
subdivide those out parcels.
Right.
One of the conditions was they needed that separate meters put on for those out parcels.
Okay, I understand that
So
issue.
it won't affect it. I can't get the plan signed, and they can't take them to the county to be perfected until all the conditions are met.
Well, they can post a performance bond. They could estimate the cost of putting the meters in. Now, I understand the issue a little bit better. In that particular issue, instance, Mayor, I can understand where the board would be coming from, because what will happen is again, right now there's a unity of ownership. Now that subdivision is approved by the township, now that one or more of those parcels is sold to a separate entity, you have to have a way to, now, and again, now the Hockham Mall, or Phillipsburg Mall, whatever you want to call it, is not performing well, and let's say it goes Chapter 11 or Chapter 13 or something, it gets all the sewer bills right now. So I guess the concern is, okay, if the main property, if there's not separate meters, and they go into Chapter 13, now all the art, without being able to allocate the capacity to the out parcels, how do we send a bill? And do all our bills get messed up? So I now I understand the issue a little bit.
But
I guess
that's not
in terms
their-
of the land use board, in terms of the actual metering requirement. I mean that is a they had to separate. There's already the sewer line is already there.
Yeah.
The meter would simply be installed in the sewer line. It's really just an improvement.
I believe Aqua is telling them, during Christmas alone, that they have to dig up 22 and have their own.
Yeah, they need like DOT approval and all this garbage.
It's not like the mall, you just stick them on, because I guess the line goes into the mall.
I say back in.
The out parcels. So it's a very big project, I guess, and they said it's very big deal with DOT.
Yeah, they got to get like approvals for traffic flow and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous. But
Well, I think the answer is okay. So I understand the board's concern. I understand why the applicant might not want to do it, and I understand that ultimately that the actual installation of meters is really probably our jurisdiction. So
and that's
you can't make a motion to rescind a condition of their approval. I mean, it's either the applicant has to go back to them. Is the applicant coming back?
yeah, but I mean that's crazy. I mean
It's the only procedure I can think of is either applicant has to ask for an amendment to remove that condition. We can direct a letter indicating that that's our position.
well, I'd like to do that because I think it's crazy that because then they're going to have to come back before the board. They're going to have to. I don't know. It's going to.
Yeah, somehow-
Two members of the land use board right here. How many, I mean, you can't convince half of them that, including the two here, that the Starbucks would be a good thing to have for this town?
I think the better idea would have been for the board, Wendy, and this is what I think we should maybe put in a letter to the land use board. I think the better condition, again, I understand the concern, but the better condition in that resolution of approval to me, I think should have been that the applicant had to come here so that we could take action on formally splitting up the allocation such that we had something in writing that is within our authority saying, okay, this is how much is going to be allocated. You're going to get a separate sewer bill. We could take action on that. I think that would be the best way to do it. We could also, as part of that, decide yes or no whether we want a meter. I think, given that we have a finite structure out there, and we also have a fairly long history of existing flows. Now, they may change a little bit with the Starbucks versus the hamburger joint, but it's not a lot. I think what we could do is get a resolution here specifically assigning them a specific portion of allocation, and that's what they're going to get billed. And that resolution could indicate that they're going to get billed that regardless of whether or not, it's metered or unmetered. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the way to do it, because if it's a tremendous undertaking, and to dig up 22, that would be a tremendous undertaking. I think that's the way to do it. So I would suggest, with the view of being practical, that council authorized me to direct a letter to the board saying, hey, we think you kind of crossed the line jurisdictionally into our jurisdiction. and you'd ask them to respectfully modify that condition to require the applicant to come here, get a specific resolution allocating a portion of the existing mall capacity to those out parcels with whatever conditions we feel are appropriate to be, attached to that allocation, okay? And I think that would solve the problem.
Kevin, how do you know what the actual flow is if there's no meter to each out parcel? Don't you have
That's
to-
not uncommon. I mean,
Probably
there's
a
sewer
rate or
billing all the
something.
time without actual flows. I mean, we have actually residents that have sewer but well water, a couple, not a lot.
Yeah,
And
we
estimate.
discussed that, yeah.
You can, and that's what I was saying, we have some history there of flows, I think. So I think, and also I will also say the DEP actually, and Glenn can certainly give us a good guesstimate, but the DEP guesstimates flows for everything, and that's how you have to do your design flows on. And they're usually very conservative. So we'll
Okay.
probably use, a conservative estimate, which means they're probably going to end up slightly overpaying, but so be it. It's either that or put in a meter.
We did that with the bar, but.
Yeah, so I think that there would be a good
I would
suggestion.
go along with that there.
Okay. Can you get that
I can
before
do
the
that
next?
letter tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do we need to make a motion then for you to do that? Or,
You guys is there a consensus on that? I mean, I'm satisfied. Sal, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. All right, yeah.
Okay.
I don't need a motion.
okay, thank you. Sorry, Dave, I just had to,
No,
Yeah,
that's,
take-
I
care of that.
understand the concern, but there should be.
No, I understand
a way
the-
to resolve that. And the way to resolve it is a binding resolution that should here, committing a specific allocation and setting up separate billing.
it wasn't an appropriate
You know what,
condition.
if down the road they're unhappy with what we're billing, then they can pay
They
for a
can make
meter.
a, yeah, exactly. That'd behoove them to do that then. Okay.
Don't they all have separate water meters that Aqua built for?
no, the mall pays the whole,
They're unified now, I think.
So they're not separated for water?
Yeah, the subdivision is really creating the issue, I think.
Is Aqua going to require them to get separate water meters? It'll be a separate legal entity, right? So they should get a separate bill.
that was
They
my,
don't have them
that was
separate
my
now.
concern.
A water meter is a lot less expensive than a sewer meter.
Well, and
That's how
again,
the
we
sewer's
were,
billed, right? It's
well,
by
and
water.
you may well be right, Lorraine, and that would probably be, we sometimes do bill off water meters, but I think the conditions, I understand the resolution wasn't a water meter, it's a sewer meter in the sewer line. That's a whole different animal. But you're right, yes, we could definitely get an approximation of actual flow off that water meter, no problem.
We always bill on water.
Yeah.
Right, like the residential
Right.
is based on water. I just didn't know if commercial.
Yeah.
And commercial too. It's
So-
just a higher rate.
We can allocate on an estimated flow and then bill subsequently, a not to exceed amount and bill to
That is how
to water meter.
Greenwich bills their
Yeah.
commercial. They have a substantial amount of commercial accounts.
Right.
They bill based on what their water consumption.
Okay.
That would be a very practical solution, right? That's how we should tell the board by letter now.
Okay, thank you. All right, Dave, anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Sal?
From the Warren County Board of Health, I won't go over everything, but NJDEP referred a complaint concerning several trucks in the parking lot at Walmart's. And they're not going to be allowed to leave them idle all night long. Lehigh Valley Vapor, they were smoking e-cigarettes. I don't know what they are. Inside the store.
Where?
At the Phillipsburg Mall.
They have a booth in there, I think.
What's an e-cigarette?
It's nicotine and water vapor. So you can get your tobacco fix without killing yourself.
Down here at Roy Chambers Farm, the accumulation of containers and debris, the cleanup will commence as soon as the state allows right-of-way near the railroad tracks. Hopefully, it's very, very soon. They just repaid 122 But if you took notice, down there by Quick Check, it's sinking already.
Really?
Yes. So do you want me to call up Quinn? And what I think has to be done is a base, a concrete base about 3 to 5 feet thick, right there, and thick and done right. You want me to do that?
Well, you could call her and ask her a solution
Right.
for the next meeting.
Okay. I was talking to Joe, and we're going after the people that need repairs on their homes. And it just takes time. It just takes time. Now, cameras in back of the garage. Is it all right if I get Coopers down here, mount a camera on top of a pole or a building, and we see who's dumping all these?
Hold on, before you
Go ahead.
want to do a camera, how many guys did we catch in the past 2 weeks?
2 that I know of,
2?
yeah. Contractors.
Yeah?
Yeah, we have to nail them. I mean, we spend $2,000 for the grinder.
Well, why don't you get a quote
And that's, okay, get a quote.
for a camera?
Cameras, and then I'd say in 90 days, we'll be in good shape.
Can you tick it off of a camera?
It's costing us a lot of money.
Take it off a lot.
Can you tick it off of a camera dumping like that?
That's a good question.
Before you do that, I mean, that's ultimately I think would be the outside of Route 22 and 519.
I'd have to look into it. I believe case law says no.
Yeah, so that camera might not help us.
What?
Camera might not help us
Why?
because they can't tick it off of it.
Can't be used as evidence, Jeff? We
At least we'll know who did it.
Yeah, but what's that good gonna do?
But a camera is not
You gotta-
considered in your presence. The only one that I know of that we could do it with is the red light cameras. And even with disorderly persons offenses, if it was caught on camera, if it was to go to court and an attorney was to fight it, we would lose. But that would be something I'd have to look into for
Probably not fight it with an attorney.
What should we do?
Send the picture to the paper.
What do you want to do? Just let them dump everything then? back?
No, they just said that they got 2 guys.
We've been watching.
How about weekends?
That's the hard part. At night and the weekends is the hard part. Because I was thinking maybe having them check in with the police department, showing their ID before they dump anything. We could do that Monday through Friday.
Why don't we, after, what you know what we need to do? Let's look to see what the officer schedule is and then close the gates at a certain hour on the weekends
We
at
don't
night.
have gates. It's wide open. I wanted to put gates up, or a sliding gate, or a gate that swings. It's wide open.
I think
They
the gates,
dump motors,
putting a gate in there,
steel rods,
open it up certain hours.
anything you could
I don't
imagine.
want to limit that as much as possible. But get a quote on a camera and get a quote on a gate. Okay?
Okay.
And see if it's admissible for court. And then
A lot of times, even if you just put a sign out there saying that.
on camera, yeah, that usually is just as effective.
Did you order the signs we were supposed to put up out there?
We had to figure out what ordinance was going to be on the signs.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll get a hold of Gwen then. Let me go over this again about by Quick Check where it's sinking.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll tell her about the engineers to get in there and look at that. because that's a brand-new road.
Yeah.
Shouldn't do that. Well, the base is terrible and the trucks are so heavy. Trucks, you know, they weigh 80,000 pounds. Okay, that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Sal.
Oh, never mind, we'll take care of it next meeting.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I have a couple things. First is the police department needs, I think, people's help who live in the township as far as we've had issues the past probably 3 weeks with people pretending to be utility workers and gaining entry into people's homes, primarily seniors, and they're not in uniform, don't have identification, and there seems to be 2 to 3 of them, and one creates a diversion, the other then goes in the house and steals belongings. So we're asking, there's a photo on the police website about what the suspect looks like, and we're just asking people to be vigilant, to tell their neighbors. With the utility companies, they're going to call you when they're coming out, and the meters are usually on the outside, so there's no reason for them to go inside. To this, I'm going to be directing a letter to the Postmaster General for the area, because I have noticed that we have an issue with the postal carriers are not in uniform either, and I've noticed a lot of them don't have any type of identification, and I think that that is just playing into this problem where people don't know who people are walking on property, and if they're supposed to have IDs, I think that they should be visible, and it's not right that people in this community are being taken advantage of like that, but I have confidence in our police department that they're going to find out who this is, and hopefully we won't have this problem anymore. And that's been restricted to Parkside, correct? The incidents where it's happened so far?
The last one was in Parkside, but there was 2 on the southern end of town.
Okay, yeah, so it's all over.
Down by Alba.
So definitely be on the lookout for that, and call them with anything you know. Also, just along with our public safety, our police, fire, the EMS all responded to a pretty significant fire this past week. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but there was a lot of cooperation from surrounding towns, and it was just a job well done. I happened to be going through there, and everything was under control, and they took care of a very, it was actually the people who are doing our mold remediation, their building, so a lot of chemicals in there, but it was handled very quickly and professionally, so they did a good job with that. Mary is not here, so I'm just trying to see if there's anything else on her report. I will need executive session to go over a personnel matter and a contractual matter, so probably need 20 minutes in executive session as far as that is concerned. The only other thing that I have on here, which I sent to council, last week the assemblyman of the Transportation Committee, John Wisniewski, was talking about the red light cameras, and he stated that he wanted to see it expanded into a speeding program as well. So I thought I would beat him to the punch and try to amend our ordinance to not allow that. And the camera company has stated publicly that they don't have that capability, but I've had conversations where they do, and if you actually get a red light camera ticket, it tells you how fast you were going when you receive the citation. So they do have that ability, and it's going to, if this does extend, there will be probably an opportunity for to be speeding citations, which I've been through Maryland and I've gotten them. I know a lot of people have gotten them, and it's, we thought we had problems with administering a red light camera program. I can only imagine what the headaches and OPA requests are going to be for speeding violations.
Jim, this was on referendum. The people voted
For
the red
speeding
light-
cameras?
Not speeding, but the red light camera.
You know what they did, and if you were,
That was on a referendum, and it passed by majority vote.
If you go back to that meeting, and I completely forgot about this, and listen to what the representative from American Traffic Solutions said, he said that it was too early for us to have any conclusive data to make an opinion on the matter, and he was right. So,
Do you want to open this up to general discussion, or are we in general discussion?
well, I wanted to keep it on just the speeding part. I don't want to make it an issue about the whole.
Well, I mean, they're kind of related. I mean, they're very integrally related, I think. My point of view is I don't like Big Brother watching me any more than the next guy. And the mayor's probably too young to remember this, but I didn't trust the barcodes in the ShopRite either. The lines are a lot shorter than they would be since their barcodes are up there. Technology is with us, whether we like it or not. And I'm concerned about our budget, frankly. I know people said it's a safety issue. I wasn't here at the time when it was passed or the referendum was adopted, but I'm glad we had a referendum. And I know it's not a very popular thing to be in support of red light cameras, but I'm not necessarily in support of red light cameras. I'm concerned about the budget ramifications of not having red light cameras. And I'm also, we've also, since then, we've got a license plate reader too, which is all that stuff is in that direction. And I'm concerned about how many police. I mean, when we had the discussion about the red light camera, we had, I think the chief said we'd have to hire several more police to write as many tickets. The last report I saw was 80% of our traffic tickets are from the red light camera. How many police do we need in addition to the dozen or so we have now if we don't have it? They're not authorized now with this red light camera. Is there anything in that red light camera ordinance that authorizes them to do speeding tickets? No, I don't think so. So why should we, decide now what we should or should not do in the future?
What I'm concerned about is the accidents. That is the worst intersection in Warren County. People were killed on some of those intersections. The state of New Jersey wouldn't listen to our past chief and our present chief. And we're cutting down on the accidents at these intersections. And that's the most important thing that we have to face right now. People getting hurt.
Dave? Any discussion?
I kind of agree with Sal and Frank on this.
Okay, well, we will take that. I think that's by itself. First reading, yeah, that'll be a first reading. Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any issues with all these resolutions? The memorializing the motion to authorize the non-binding referendum, that's just CYA, housekeeping. That already is done, so that shouldn't be any issue.
I have an issue with the salaries that I have always had.
Which first setting
the 2014 salaries.
Okay.
Employees. And
yeah, Frank, do you want to move all these and take that separate?
yes.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion for all the motions or resolutions except number 2?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Becker?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Angeli?
Wait a minute. This is all of them for number except
Meeting number 2.
the salaries.
Salary separate.
Second one on the list.
Okay, let's see. We returned all this money to these people that held the liens, right?
We will be after you.
After it's
We will be after you approve this.
Yes.
And Mayor Kern.
yes. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, it is,
Well, do you want to make your motion?
Yeah, let's
Second, and then have discussion.
open discussions. Is there a motion for this?
I'll make it.
Is there a second for it?
we're motioning for discussion.
To call a vote and then we discuss it.
Second.
Okay, now we can discuss. Okay.
Basically, I'll say again what I've said in prior years, and it has nothing to do with performance of a position. It's about the salary for a position that I think $29,205 is too much for a land use board secretary position. I've had survey information, and I know it's debatable whether or not somebody's included or not, whether it's split into two positions or not. To me, no matter how you cut it, I think I think there was like 13 variances approved last year in the land use board. There's several meetings. I think in 2013 there was 13 meetings. 2012 there was 8 meetings. And the reason there aren't any meetings is because there's not enough building going on. I agree with the idea that if there's not enough items on the agenda, you shouldn't pay for the lawyer and pay for the planner and pay for everybody else and have everybody be there. But the fact is that and I've been to a few of these meetings. Some of them are very short. Some of them are longer, like the last one. But I think there's not enough work to justify the salary.
Frank, I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit. We had a land use secretary, never did the minutes. It cost us $20,000 for someone to listen to the tapes, and they never got the job done, and we didn't want to pour more money into this here fiasco. And it was one heck of a fiasco we had. Now, Wendy
I wouldn't talk
she
about
gets no benefits. She gets no benefits, no hospitalization, no nothing. So you could reconsider that, because we were in bad shape there for, I'll bet you 2 years. We were in such bad shape where the job wasn't done.
I can't talk about performance even if I wanted to say someone is doing an excellent job or it'd be in danger of being in violation of a rice notice. So I'm not going to talk about performance.
You're not?
I can't.
You can't.
You can't? How about me? I just did.
I know.
It's not a rice notice.
Call the police.
You guys are talking about
Police.
the salary ordinance and general what the job entails, doesn't entail, and that's basically what Sal's doing. This is not. I'm not going to get over technical with the rice notice.
What's that?
We're not here to talk specifically about Wendy, but it is about the position, and I think, Sal, what you're saying is there's merit to having the position get accomplished in a timely manner and getting minutes done. That's fine.
Ready for a roll call?
Any further discussion?
Yeah, anyone else have any? I would like to, let's table it till when Mary gets here for a full vote.
We do that, just be aware, we have to table, we have to continue ordinance 1410 too, which is okay, but we'll do both.
No, you don't?
I mean, the ordinance
Actually, you're right, we can do
Yeah.
range. I guess we can, you're
Yeah,
right.
the ordinance can go.
I'll walk that back, you're right, you can do the ordinance anyway.
Okay, all right. Well, we have a motion and a second on the floor, so we have to call the roll on that to approve it, or we can rescind it. We're getting very in-depth with Robert's rules this evening. Or do we want to call the roll?
I thought we were going to rescind it for now.
Okay, but I think you need a motion and a second for that.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Who's going to second the table?
second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll keep that.
Now,
So that,
We're making decisions here, quite a few. And we have to remember, next year Phillipsburg is going to raise the tuition rates on each student $1,000. God help us all. I'm telling you. Per student. I don't know what's going to happen to Greenwich.
no problem. Greenwich. Okay, so that's, all those are the resolutions. Motion for first reading, ordinance 14-13 to amend chapter 27139 of the Code of Township of Powhatan entitled Traffic Control Signal Monitoring System to clarify for the public, that is to include the devices shall not be used for speeding. That's what we were talking about. That's what that is.
Okay.
14-13.
I'll make that motion. That we pass it.
For the first reading.
Yes.
It's just for the first reading. I'll second that.
okay. This will be second reading September 16th.
Yeah.
Becker?
No.
Fleck?
Yes.
Angeli?
I made the motion, yes.
And Kern?
Yes. Okay, second reading September 16th. Okay. Does anyone have any issue taking the public, well, can we take a public hearing and vote on them separate? Or
I
no?
would move each one, open
In-
each separate.
Okay. Okay.
Can I ask a question, though, because I have a question. Kevin, on the ordinance 1410, that's setting the rate of Florida employees, I noticed that there's a position on there for an administrator, which we don't have, and that position would have to be created by ordinance. So does this ordinance need to be amended then?
You can
We
create,
can get
you
the
can create,
administrator from Wanda.
It's on the salary range ordinance. I noticed
I
that
didn't say it.
That's the resolution.
you can create.
the ordinance you have from the last meeting.
Well, let's take these one at a time. No,
But I'm asking, Kevin.
no, you can create a prospective position in the salary board.
Without
Shouldn't
creating
Without
a
her actually
position?
creating it.
Shouldn't the resolution match the ordinance?
I don't think
No.
it always has.
It can or it can't. I mean, the
He never
ordinance
had that
is simply
position.
Creating, you could create prospectively, I think for years, we had in there by way of example, code enforcement officer. We never had one.
That's
What
true.
is
And you don't, this
You don't
ordinance
have it
doesn't
right
mean
there.
you have
Right,
to
I don't
have
have it.
the position.
Yeah, but we had the position.
Okay, let's take,
That's what I'm asking.
Oh, you're saying there's no ordinance in our code book at all? You mean for the position? Well, I still feel the ordinance would be okay. Yes, if you were going to implement the range, you'd have to create an ordinance to create the position. Then I don't think it's effective that it's there in advance in case we decide to go that way.
okay, let's move 14.0-8 bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $190,000 for acquisition of a trackless tractor by the and for the Township of Powhatan, County of Warren, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $95,000 in bonds or notes of the township for financing part of the appropriation. Is there a motion to open that up for public comment?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Anyone have a public comment on 14-08?
Yes, Victor Hernandez. less than half of this is being financed, and I was wondering what the thinking was behind that.
Sir, could you speak up a little?
What the thinking was behind only financing half the costs rather than taking advantage of low interest rates, financing the whole thing.
We budgeted a pay-as-you-go kind of appropriation over the last 2 years. That's where the 90,000 that's funded has come from 2 prior years' budgets. So it's pretty much already paid for half.
Right, I get that part, but I'm not sure whether that's the best, whether it's a good idea to use our savings or whether it would be better to finance the whole thing. I guess that's like a philosophical perspective.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
I can kind of feel that. I can understand part of what you're saying, Dr. Hernandez, but I mean, we have to pay for the machine eventually. It's not like we're going to trade it in 5 years, you know, carry forever. I mean, we're going to buy it, we're going to keep it. We'll probably have 25 years. And I can respect your wanting to use a low interest right now, but I'm from a mindset, you know, if we've got part of the money ready, you know, put it on it and we'll finance the rest.
Okay, any other public comment? Motion to close and adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Becker?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Angeli?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes. Okay, ordinance 14-09, providing funding for the purchase of a 2015 four-wheel drive SUV and appropriating $40,000 for such purpose. And that's it. That's for a new police vehicle, just to what that is for. Is there any public comment, a motion to open that to public comment?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any motion, or any comment on that item? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close and adopt?
So moved.
Is there discussion?
We can discuss, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Frank, go ahead.
Well, I don't have much more to say than I did last meeting, other than, I mean, I'll repeat in case there's 1 or 2 people that may not have been here. But I did ask the chief for an inventory of the vehicles. Looks like we have 7 vehicles, and I think 1 was decommissioned, so now we're down to 6. And I think the vehicle that needs a new transmission, am I right, is the Durango? Is that, are we keeping the Dodge Durango regardless of what?
Well, we're going to take it off the road if we get a new vehicle.
We're going to take it off the road, so that's the one we're looking to replace, I guess.
Correct.
That's a 4-wheel drive, but it's got
Yes.
88,000 miles on it.
Correct.
And it needs a transmission.
It needs a lot of things. It's in pretty bad shape.
What year is it, Chuck, just out of curiosity?
2008, I believe.
2009, I think.
Is it,
2009, you're
are
correct.
we getting a 6-cylinder?
It's a 6-cylinder, yes.
Could we get a 1-cylinder?
I don't know if they make them.
Pedal power, maybe?
Yeah, it's only got 88,000 miles on it. And I know we had this discussion about them idling all the time, and they're not the same kind of miles. But I spent $4,000 for a transmission for 1997 pickup truck that had on it well over 100,000 miles. Do you have an idea how much all the repairs would be for the Durango?
Well, I have a list here of what it needs for repairs right off the bat. The front shocks are worn out. 1 cylinder misses, causing the check engine light to come on. The blinker and high beam lever is bad. The window and lock switches on the driver's door doesn't work. The left tail light is broken. The right side mirror is broken. And then there's a bunch of engine codes that come up that we took it over to Rossnagel's. And I have a list of the engine codes. Random multiple cylinder misfire detected. Cylinder 1 misfire detected.
Did they give you an estimate of what it cost to fix?
No, sir. No. I don't know what that would be.
We won't be getting another Dodge, I assume.
Oh, we don't like the Dodges. No.
No, that's the.
No.
What kind is
What was
it?
proposed, Jeff, as far as what brand?
Ford.
The same one we got.
Yes. Exactly what we have down there now.
Okay. mid-size it is? Or
It's an SUV, it's mid-size.
not the Expedition?
No,
actually
no,
smaller?
no.
Okay.
It's smaller.
Same one you have now, so there's, are there
We have-
three SUV types, or three?
We have two. We have two.
Plus an all-wheel drive?
The all-wheel drive, and we have a four-wheel drive. The Dodge is a four-wheel drive, and the Ford's a all-wheel drive.
You drive a Chevy, don't you?
I do, yes, sir.
That's four-wheel drive.
That's a four-wheel drive, yes.
So it's like three four-wheel drive vehicles. And there's 6 cars altogether, and at most there's 3 to 4 officers on duty. at
Of the
a time.
6 cars, 2 of them are in good shape.
Is that the Charger and the Explorer?
I'm concerned in general, I mean, not to pick on the police, I'm just concerned in general about expenditures. I mean, if the mayor can convince 2 other people here that red light cameras should go, we're going to lose, what was it, $600,000 net, $850,000 gross revenues a year. I mean, and in context, I think Gwen said last week that we have to spend money for Pinter's Point. That Pinter's Point needed repairs, where they found when they were doing the bridge down there. There's not going to be enough money, even if it's considered an SUV and a capital expenditure. I don't think there's going to be enough capital expenditure money to cover everything we want to do. So some things will have to wait till next year. So,
You know, we can't raise the taxes up.
no, we can't.
It's coming to an end.
So, I mean, if we approve this, we'll probably, and you could say the same thing about any one expenditure. We could have said it about 14.08. But any one expenditure you approve, it's going to mean a no to something else.
What was the vote on the red light camera now? 2-2?
No,
Huh?
3-1 for first reading.
Oh, 3-1.
Okay, that's all.
Anyone else have any comment on that? Sal, Dave?
Well,
No, Sal, go ahead.
what if you took the car for a ride, Frank? And, you know, you could, you're a car man, you could, if it's in that bad of a shape,
I wouldn't mind seeing an estimate of what it costs to fix. So I mean, like I know whether it's a $5,000 fix versus a $40,000 new car. I mean, if it was me and $5,000, like I said, I spent $4,000 on a transmission on the 97 with well over 100,000 miles. So I mean, if it was $20,000, I'd say it's a no-brainer, get the new car. If it's $5,000, it's more iffy for me.
okay, roll call, Becker,
No,
Slack,
Yes.
Angeli,
we have to have that decision tonight.
yes, we do.
Well, you could table it and wait for Mary if you want more input.
Not in the middle of the roll.
How about in 2
Well, you could
weeks,
change that.
when Mary's here?
Yeah, but
She's in charge of the
you'd have
police.
to vote it down and then you got to re-advertise, right? Is that how that goes? Or can you? What do you say? Well, what would you say if Mary was here, Sal? Let's just do it that way.
Go for it.
Okay, so yes, and Kern,
Yes. Okay. Ordinance 14-10, I think we should add the amendment to slash the administrator. Can we do that
Yeah.
before?
Oh, no, open the public hearing and we'll close.
I thought we did that last meeting. Okay, motion to open 14-10, setting the range of salaries for all employees in the township of Bohacon. That's exactly what it sounds like. So is there a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Now,
All in favor?
Sal, is it just to open up to public comment?
Comment, all in
okay,
favor?
go ahead.
Aye. Okay, is there any public comment on 14-10? Seeing none, I'd like to close and then also make an amendment to strike the administrator position from that ordinance.
Right, we don't need.
Move
I think we had a public.
up, sorry, Jerry, please. Jerry, you got to come up and speak into the microphone.
Jerry Kern, Bohacon. I would like to see more thought put into that. This is the one that's getting put off, right? Is this?
That's the resolution. This is an ordinance. This sets the range of what the salaries can be.
Okay, but you are looking at that and they're going to be corrected or the ranges? I mean,
For setting, lowering the base, is that what you meant? Like from,
yeah, I haven't seen them, is all I know is what I'm hearing. And I think a lot of these things should be looked at closer. I appreciate Frank's last input on that, you know, we're starting to look at things closer and it takes someone special to step up and bring these things to the fore. And I appreciate that. They don't maybe always get passed, but the fact that someone's willing to take these steps is big because we all know, like Sal said, it's coming to an end. And you know, at some point, I think I'm getting off track, but at some point, some harder decisions are going to be made because the lack of any decisions, everything is a yes. At some point, we're not going to be able to say yes, even if you want to, because we're not going to have the money. So it's about time. I really appreciate Frank stepping up with these issues because I think more of us need to look at that as hard as it is for everyone here, because we're all in the same boat together. I have to do at home. I make decisions that I don't prefer to make and short things, but when there's no choice, there's no choice, and we're all going to be there. So I can't say enough for what Frank said before, and I hope other people are starting to look closer at this because we're all going to be in a bigger problem, and then it may not be as pleasant. I think the way he's handling it now is really important, and everyone needs to look at it. I mean, everyone on both sides has to consider what we're going through as a town, taxes, and everything. Thank you.
thank you, Jerry. Any other public comment on 14-10? Okay, I have a motion to close and adopt with an amendment to scratch the administrator position from that ordinance.
Is there a second?
Discussion?
Discussion, yeah, go ahead, Frank.
I just want to point out that the range of the salary that I was concerned about is 15,000 to 29,205, and I'm comfortable with that range.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Okay, Becker?
Yes.
Flag?
Yes.
D'Angeli?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, okay. Ordinance 14-11, establishing a new chapter 5 entitled Public Buildings and Property. This would prohibit smoking on all municipal property, and that includes vehicles owned by the township, which is not limited to chewing tobacco and other things like that. E-cigarettes, which you just learned about tonight, but that's what that ordinance is. So is there a motion to open that for public hearing?
So moved.
Second, any public comment on this? Oh, aye. Any public?
7 Melvin Winters Road. Just a question. Will there be a benefit for this from a liability perspective in insurance policies?
No.
Or no smoking policy?
I believe there could be.
Is that going to be looked into by the
Yeah.
board?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Who's going to enforce it, Jim?
At the municipal building,
Yeah,
that would be anywhere it'd be the police department. But this
do
sort
you
of,
actually think they're going to make an arrest?
it's not, you don't get arrested for, it's a summons. You don't get arrested for going through a stop sign either.
I just want to add one more thing.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
My workplace did this and took all tobacco off the grounds and everything. That's why I asked the question. They got a real good deal on insurance because of it. So they weren't paying out as much, and they were certified as some sort of healthy tobacco-free workplace.
Yeah, there's something like that, and there's something also with the parks too. There's opportunities there too. Okay. All right, any other public comment? Motion, discussion from us? Motion? I think it's a good idea. Yeah, I know the rec is very happy about this because we were one of the last parks that was allowing it, and yeah, the parents were smoking right next to the kid. It was a mess, so this will be good. So, motion to close and adopt. Is there a second?
We didn't have a motion.
I did. That's what I was just doing. Yep.
Okay.
Second.
Second? Okay, Becker?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Vangelli?
I don't see anyone, like, you're saying a summons.
You can vote no.
I know I could do the dance too.
It would just be it's just an ordinance. Sal, to answer your question, it's just an ordinance. Once the ordinance is on the books and we post some signs, if Chief Greenmeyer or anybody else in the department, walks in here and sees somebody smoking, they could give them a verbal in their discretion, say, hey, did you see the sign, put it out, or they could issue them a citation. There's a penalty in it. They can pay it, or they could come here and talk to the judge. There's no, like the mayor said, it really isn't any different than any other local ordinance we have. It's not a big.
You don't go to jail.
From an enforcement standpoint, this is probably one of the easiest ones to enforce. It's pretty
clear.
obvious whether somebody's smoking.
And I don't think even on
I
the,
heard there was fines. There was $100 your first fine, $500 the second, and $1,000 every time after, and if you're an employee, there's disciplinary action.
Yeah, as I said, but it's very easy from an enforcement standpoint. You see somebody smoking or you don't.
but there's no, even on the third one, there's no jail time. So rest
No.
assured, Sal, no one's going to jail over this. Unless they don't show up for court. Which I can give you the red light camera ticket phone calls. I'll forward them to you if you want.
We're in the middle of a vote, though.
Yeah, you got to vote.
So
Yeah.
you say,
Yes,
and Kern.
Yes. Okay, that's
I would say we should make sure we do get some signage.
Jeff. Will you guys, the ordinance? Yeah, the ordinance is done. There's language in the ordinance, so we'll get you a copy of that to order with the other signs.
I'll email you that tomorrow, Jeff.
And they have to go on all the parks too.
I would just recite the ordinance.
Like we do this,
on the sign.
yeah.
Just like we do with the sign.
And then we should also get a memo out to employees too for public property and vehicles. So that's going to be up to the chief and the DPW super and everyone else to make sure that the employees in the vehicles aren't doing it either. So that's important. Okay, motions. Does anyone have any issue with taking these together?
I just say, I know there was some issue with the refund. What was the name of the company? It's
It was John Angelari. Lorraine cut the check for Riverside Farm subdivision. That was what the application was filed under. He can't cash the check because he's John Angelari, not Riverside Farm. So Lorraine said she can't just cut him a check to John Angelari because she's going by the application and rather not. But on the application, it was his owner's name. Yeah.
So what I was going to suggest, the applicant now for Riverside Farms LLC or John Angelari or both, I don't think it makes it. Was there a W-2 filed? I don't know if there wasn't. Usually there are with the escrow.
No, but the resolution authorized me to refund the money.
I saw it. It just said Riverside.
Because that was the application's name.
But I was going to say, I don't think we need to if you want to set the motion, but it's authorizing you to disperse.
Mr. Angelari wants his money, so.
I understand.
Well, what are we talking about?
So you're still here.
It was a resolution passed last month, Frank, and.
Was this the
No, just 2 weeks ago.
Or 2 weeks ago.
Riverside Tap Room?
No.
No, there was a.
Riverside
it was just a
Farms.
refund of a bunch of
Oh.
old escrow accounts from the planning board, and this particular one, the check doesn't match the way the applicant would like.
I got you.
I'm suggesting you just add that to the motions list to give Lorraine cover to correct the check to
Okay,
allow our CFO to issue the Riverside Farms.
To John Angelari.
To John Angelari.
That's
Add
fine.
that to the motion.
okay.
What about the cigarette holder outside when they have quarters? You gotta get rid of that.
There's your prime opportunity right there.
So that would be 3 motions.
Yeah, there'll be the third motion to give Lorraine that authority. Is that,
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
okay, so is everyone okay taking all 3 together? Anyone have any issue, discussion? Okay, I'll move it.
Second?
Okay, Becker?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Angeli?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes. Okay, general public comment. Is there any general public comment? Yes, sir. Please say your name, sign in.
Les Nichols, I'd like to finish clarifying my position on Councilman Becker's $5,000 expenditure for the time clock. I'm still not clear if or when we expect to get a return on this, and I don't want to start a debate, and I don't want to discuss performance either. I've worked for a large company for over 40 years, and most companies in America claim, probably true, that employees' wages are their biggest expenditure. Well, when you have a paid board of directors or a council or any other directors sitting there paying somebody else to work, that's the fact of doing business. That happens. The point is, just like we expect the council, the public members to do less, our employees to do less, do a better job, I kind of expect the council to do a better job also, because they are technically paid township employees. And along with that, my point was a $5,000 expenditure might be better well taken if there's an individual problem with absence or targeting or something that need to be dealt with. Yes, it can't be abused. But I think it goes a lot further to try and build a working relationship of respect and trust, mutual respect. And I was very glad to hear our mayor express his satisfaction with our police department and our fire department, and that's, I think, is a great first step in that direction. And if we all work toward this, it had been done very limited in the past, I think the council working with our employees instead of against them wouldn't have any cost to the township and would have much better dividends over the long haul. That's just my position. I'm old-fashioned and maybe don't believe in being penny wise and pound foolish. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other general public comment? Yes, sir.
Jerry Kern, I also had a question to the time clock. I think, Frank, when you spoke, and the chief, I guess we already have a similar.
We have a time management system.
Right.
It's not clock oriented. It's
Okay.
it's like a glorified spreadsheet that says
Record
you know,
keeping.
who's on duty when.
Right. But what I understood was this was similar to that, and
Well, the system that we looked at was the same company.
would they do both?
Yes, they can do both.
Right.
But my concern was that the cost of it was high.
Right.
For their new system, which they require you to go to. Jeff has a good deal with the old system because he got it years ago, or the police got it years ago, and they haven't updated it. Now, the system is, I mean, it'll shine your shoes, but
Newer
we
technology.
really need that. That's why I want to look into time clock.
Right, I think I'm fine for that. But what I was understanding from the last meeting was that the chief's system is kind of outdated, older. I was under the impression that when we do this, we would be able to update both. Is that possible?
We
for that?
can, that's $7,300 to update.
Because we already have one, and eventually if it's that old, it's going to need to be updated. We're going to be in the same boat. So can that be coordinated together to do both? That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
It seems to make a little more sense.
Ours is older, but it's perfect for what we need.
It does a good job for what they do. I frankly, it doesn't do time clock.
Time clock.
And frankly, I want a time clock.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of businesses actually most businesses that I do business with have time clocks. And I guess it is, I imagine because of what I've heard here, it is the largest expenditure. I don't think, as much as spending money is not what I want to see, because we all know the taxes are ridiculous. And I don't know if there's problems with, people not coming. I don't know, we're only privy to what we hear out here. So, but if, how many hours would you have to save to pay that off? I can't imagine it would be very many for $5,000. But
What if everyone took an extra 5 minutes coming in later? So, I mean, it would be very quickly pay for itself.
and that's assuming that's taking place. I don't know none of
Well,
this.
even
But
everywhere, this type of thing happens.
Right.
And it just
and there's a reason that happens. And I think you said it. You add 5 minutes up here and there,
it adds up.
it's paid for.
Yeah.
But and if there's no issues, then it shouldn't matter. Unfortunately,
If anything, I mean, even if there's no issues, it makes the taxpayer feel more comfortable.
yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yeah.
Brittany Melvin, Winters Road. I just had a question about the time clock. Where I work, we do have a time clock for the administrative staff. And, do we like it? Probably not. However, it does keep people honest in the respect of, I don't know how many people, smoke or whatever here, but I started calculating at one point at one of my jobs on how much time people take out for cigarette smoking. And people that reported to me directly, I started calculating their time by the end of the day, and sometimes it was an hour to an hour and a half of smoke time. That also, when they would leave for lunch and smoke, come back and take their break. So it was a lot more time spent than most people did, against like non-smokers. However, are we talking about doing this for the police department as well as administrative staff? Or are you guys completely separate from that?
Our police officers usually come in probably a half hour early.
That's what I was
Some
going
would
to
come
say.
in an hour early.
That would be my concern if the police department, because I know, from having family members and such in the past that were with the police department, they do spend extra time, doing paperwork, coming in a little early, staying late. And so overall, that's something you might want to think about is how much, I don't know what their salaries are, but how much more money are we going to be paying them for doing that extra time? So that's something you have to consider. I do know people that I work with now who actually will use more time, waiting for the clock, looking at it more, waiting an extra half an hour at the end of the day to clock out. So that's just something that you might want to think about when it comes to how much time they're going to put in. And the only other question I have on this is, I know that Wendy does the minutes and Wanda does the minutes. Are they taking things home with them to do this work, or is this stuff that would, if you have the time clock, how are you going to regulate that? If they are taking things home, I mean, certainly she can't clock out here and run home and come back and clock back in. That doesn't make any sense. So that's something you guys may want to think about on how you're going to do that. The only other thing is that my other concern a little bit is that if paperwork is being taken home to do, if there is a fire at their home or if something happens to them on the way home, some of that paperwork may be personal and may not be readily, want the world to see, so to speak. So that's something else that you might want to consider, that maybe they need to be here to clock in and clock out if you do get the time clock, so that the stuff is always here and not at their home location. I know at my work, there's certain paperwork we cannot bring home. So just a thought.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Actually, Chief, just while we're talking about the time clock with the police, there's precautions in place, because I know when using the police department, they have to be here. Someone has to be here patrolling the township. So
Correct.
it does put it in a little bit different dynamic as far as, like, you have to be staffed for so many people and you will find someone.
Yeah. The way we do it, if your shift starts at 3 o'clock, you're dressed and ready to go
At 3 o'clock.
by 3 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, most of the officers come in a half hour early. We have one who comes in an hour, 2 hours early, almost every single day.
It's almost, you could use that as an example of great behavior. I mean, review time or whatever.
Wendy Esposito, I'd like to just say I do my minutes at home, but that's based on my salary, not hourly. That's part of my land use board position. I do take it at home, and it's not hourly. But my question is, for the time clock, I'm here always usually 20 minutes, a half hour before 9, which is part of my hourly position. I answer the door when people are pounding at 8:45. Am I not supposed to open up and help somebody because I'm not allowed to clock in until 9 o'clock? That's I'm always here. If somebody's pounding on the door, I let them in. A lot of people try to run in to get yard sale permits prior to going to work.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, with where I work, what we do is our business hours start at 9, but we have to report there by 8:45 so that everyone is.
Right, but for hourly employee that we're paid by the hour.
We may have to think about prorating 15 minutes. I don't know what we're gonna have to figure something out. Or start it earlier than, I mean, these are.
Your shift starts at 9, and if you're here earlier, fine. But your pay starts when your shift starts. So.
Yeah.
I mean, these are details that, they're good questions, but I mean, I think we're not in the weeds yet. We don't even have a recommended system yet.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, any other public comment? Seeing none.
Attorney Plot, the only thing I need to add tonight is we did support to enter a stay with respect to the PCI litigation based upon our contract, so that they were compelled to be released first. So since they prevailed in that motion, and I think that litigation will be going forward sometime in
October. And we do need you for several items in executive.
Yeah, that's fine. Other than that, that was really the only thing that really happened in stuff since the last 2 weeks.
So we have, let me see here, we're executive session. So I need a motion for executive session. Probably no more than 20 minutes.
So moved.
Becker?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Angeli?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Oh.
Just that. That's stuff this morning.
Well, that's good.
Like
That's
50,000 emails.
your email
Because of the court.
system.
So
Okay.
it's not like I only have a place, like the program itself, to keep it going.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Rebecca says yes, Slack?
Yes.
Angeli?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, okay, and everything else, that's direction.
Contract, we will get a long overdue response to DPW with Dave and I. We have some parameters, so that's contract negotiation, but just for the benefit of the road department, we'll get that moving for them. Other than that, I think everything, no other action or anything discussed.
Okay, the only other thing I had, I forgot to mention this, was on September 9th, I'm going to be having a kind of a roundtable discussion with the police chief, the zoning officer, and the land use board chair. We don't have a zoning board, so it's our land use board. I received several complaints from residents in reference to the railroad down on River Road. So if you have any concerns, comments, or problems that you're experiencing, we'd like to hear them, because we want to see what we need to address with the railroad, if anything at all, if there's anything we can do, but we want to give that opportunity for folks to come out. So that'll be September 9th at 6 p.m. in here. And there's a land use board meeting after that, but this is, like I said, open to the public to just come speak freely off the record, so it's more comfortable. So that's that. Does anybody have anything else? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Whatever you come up with, Kevin, just
I'm just going to